introduction of himself, and then I'm going to read off his credentials.
What's going on, bro?
Man, I'm
It's
good, man.
it's a pleasure and an honor to to be on your podcast. Let me tell you, it was so random how we met,
Mhm.
but clearly it was a meant to be situation.
Yeah.
Uh, I had to go pick up some strings. So I don't know if your viewers or those who listen on the podcast, I don't know if they know that you're a musician,
Yeah, yeah.
and a good one at that.
Okay.
I went over to Guitar Center, and lo and behold, I hear somebody laying down that funk, and and I'm like, oh man, yeah, I gotta mosey my way on over there, head on over there. But yeah, I'm truly grateful to be on the podcast. You know, I do my best to be as humble as I can, but I will say this: officially and unofficially, I'm repping my school, the University of Bridgeport. It's been a good place for me. So anybody who wants to go to UB, check it out. It may not always. I will say this: it may not look the prettiest in town and all. It may not be the girl that you want to take to prom. Okay, it may it may not be it may not be your boo that you want to stand next to you. But I tell you this:
Yeah.
it's the one that's going to get you through. It's the one that's going to give you that strength to pursue your dream. So I say go ahead and check out my school here.
There it is. Check it out. University of Bridgeport in Connecticut. That's in the States for all my people in Canada.
Yep, in Connecticut. That's right. It's Connecticut.
Yeah. So tonight's topic is um how to stay motivated, right?
Hmm.
And right now I'm gonna read off Mr. Leslie's credentials. So Dr. Leslie J. Valbrun, right?
Yep, Valbrun. Yep, you said it.
Yeah.
That's cool. I'm
Is
cool with that.
a
Yep.
strategist, entrepreneur, and a leader focused on economical growth and development of the community. He serves in various roles as he aims to positively influence his community while leaving a lasting legacy for generations to come. Dr. Valbrun has earned a Bachelor's of Science from Atlantic Union College, a Master's of Public Health from Loma Linda University, Doctorate of Chiropractic from University of Bridgeport, and is now earning his MBA from UB. Dr. Valbrun is the current Economic Development Chairperson for the Greater Bridgeport NAACP and is a new member of the Ethics Committee for the City of Bridgeport. Dr. Leslie J. Valbrun is a developing agent of change, emphasizing opti- um, optimal health and wellness success and growth principles, as well as leadership and community development. He hopes to be a lasting positive influence on all people. And that's his introduction. Man, what an introduction. Man, we're going to need to elaborate on all that, man.
Man, it's just look. We talking about motivation, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
usually I don't use the title all the time. How people say, "Oh, you a doctor," this thing, and sometimes like in certain situations, it's great, and in other situations, sometimes it can work against you. All these different things. It just depends. But the doctor doesn't make me; I make the doctor.
Yeah.
The degrees don't make me; I make the degrees. And in the end, what it really boils down to is how can you better serve your community? How can you better serve the people that you interact with? And how do you leave a lasting legacy for generations to come?
Mhm.
And that's ultimately what all of that is all about.
Mhm. Okay, that sounds great. So how did you uh find the motivation to keep going to try to strive to get to the next level? What motivated you to want to keep climbing?
That's a great question. And I don't want to give you a long-winded answer,
Yeah.
but it's really hard for me to make that concise because the journey has been so long.
Yeah.
One of the things I can say is I was asked a question by one of my aunts
Mhm.
at 5 years old. And at 5 years old, in my family, when they ask you questions like this, you better know the answer.
Right.
And you better have figured it out real quick.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that, you're putting too much pressure on somebody or anything like that, but it's what is it that you want to be?
Yeah.
That was the question.
Mhm.
And I said, oh, I want to be a doctor, right? Not knowing which doctor I was going to be, not knowing how I was going to get there. I knew I was going to have to go to college. The
Yeah.
only thing I knew, I didn't know anything related to that at all.
Yeah.
That thought just kept going and going and going through elementary school, through high school. There were summers
Yeah.
where like I would go to the hospital and I would be a candy striper.
Yeah.
Basically, you're volunteering just in the hospital. You're helping out, doing whatever they tell you to do, pretty much.
Yeah.
And it was a great experience. It was a lot of fun to be able to experience that. And all of these little experiences along the way
Yeah.
just kept reinforcing, hey, how is it that I want to serve people? How is it that I want to improve my own life and improve the life or the lives of those who are around me?
Yeah.
And I think those little things, those little wins, those little successes, it's the little things really that build up to a big thing
That's right.
that allow for you to stay in that mindset of
It like
motivation.
adds I'll say like it adds uh kerosene to your fire kind of. I would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even when I first when I wrote my first book, um I didn't know where to start. I just started it. Many people know that I wrote my first book on my iPhone 4.
Mhm.
And then
That's impressive.
and then when I published it, as soon as I published it, I was going door to door, selling it door to door. And the more feedback I got from people, helping people, and seeing people in tears, seeing them how proud they are of me, it added
Hmm.
to my fire to want to go harder. You know what I
That's
mean?
it.
I understand the concept.
Absolutely. It's the little wins. And one thing that I've got to share, and I hate to, I hate to do this,
Yeah,
but one thing uh, that sometimes how do you say, we get mixed up is the difference between motivation and inspiration.
yeah,
Inspiration is really what matters most. Motivation is a temporary thing, right? Motivation is like you put gas in the car, okay, it runs out of gas, you got to put more gas in the car. It's something that you got to constantly. Inspiration is something that it doesn't matter. Come hell or high water, I'm focused here.
yeah,
One of the reasons why we love to see athletes overcome,
yeah,
is because like they can see the goal right in front of them.
mhm,
It's tangible. But then how do we do that in our own lives in a way where it's measurable, right? Because we love to measure things. We love to say, okay, I've reached this level, and then when you've reached that level, what next? And it's difficult at times, especially when you have to wake up every day.
mhm,
You might, depending on the situation, you might be in a job that you do not enjoy.
exactly.
You might have to deal with people that you do not want to deal with. You might even be in a living situation where the stress is just too much. And how do you stay inspired
Mhm.
in that? And I'll tell you this: sometimes the struggle itself, sometimes the struggle is what allows you to want to get out of that situation.
Right.
Um, because you see where you are, you have a choice,
Yeah.
and the choice is, look, I can either try to get out of the situation, figure the situation out,
Yep.
or or I can stay where I am and be comfortable where I am, and if it's a terrible situation, that's not really where you want to be.
Yeah.
And there's other options too, but the goal really is to move on beyond where we are.
Exactly.
We look at guys, and I'll end with this because I know you got another question.
Yeah.
You know, like we look at guys like Kobe, MJ. Um, we look at guys who have that killer instinct, that laser focus for you Canadians. Last year, I know you guys. Well, not last year, the year before last, you had Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
Like you got guys like that who have that laser focus, who are trying to get that, who are going to do everything they possibly can to reach that goal.
Right.
You look at guys like Jeff Bezos in the business world. You look at Microsoft, Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer. These guys, they want to win, and the fact that they want to win is something that keeps them motivated. But their inspiration goes beyond just winning.
Hmm.
See, their inspiration is more so like, you know what? I need to find a way to perfect the system, or
Hmm.
I need, that is what inspires them. And because it is in them, then ultimately what happens is it just naturally pours out of them.
Yes. Yeah. 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 Amazing points. Amazing point. Amazing point. Um, so what would you say to somebody who is stuck in their comfort zone, trying to come out of their comfort zone? What are some steps that they can take to come out of their comfort zone and
I,
become the
I'm
best
I'm
version?
sorry. I'm sorry for whatever reason it was breaking up.
Yeah.
Go ahead and ask the question.
Oh, all right. Hey, yeah. So, yeah. So my question was, what would you say to somebody who's stuck in their comfort zone and they're having a hard time coming out? What are some steps that you would point to them to get out of their comfort zone?
Hmm. So I think that's the hardest part of being a human is getting out of your comfort zone. One of the things that we love is comfort. We work hard so that we can live comfortably. We
Right.
work hard so that we can have the nice car that's comfortable. All these things.
Yeah.
But getting out of your comfort zone is really doing things differently.
Yeah.
It's waking up at 4:35 in the morning to work out when you really don't, when your body's still in bed, but you're actually out there. Like your mind is still
Yeah.
in bed rather, but
Right.
your body's out there. You know, it's doing the things that, really is doing things differently to get a different result.
Yeah.
And that's really what it boils down to. And to be honest with you, don't wait. If there's
Exactly.
one thing I can share, one piece of wisdom I can share, and I don't mean this necessarily in terms of relationships and stuff like that, but I'm talking about in terms of getting stuff done. Just do it.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Procrastination is, a lot of people say, "Oh, I work best under pressure," and this, that, and the other. Yeah, but you're building bad habits that that don't lend you to expansion. Like if you want to be able to grow, you got to get stuff done so that you can do other things that will allow you to grow. But if you're constantly behind the eight ball,
Mhm.
you're not gonna make it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, that's true. I always tell people to just go. Like, you know what I mean? That's one thing I do. I just go. Like some
Mhm.
people think I'm kind of crazy because they say that like, well, how do you just do things? But me, I just do things, and I feel like
Do
that's
it.
the best way to be. Like, that's how you're not stuck in a box. Because the
Right.
moment you put yourself in a box, then what's the point of living? What's the point? Because then you're just stuck in one spot, you're stagnant.
Absolutely. One thing, I like that you said, put yourself in the box. I think that there are individuals who want to go against the grain.
Yeah,
Okay. And there's nothing wrong with being yourself. As a matter of fact, I encourage people to be themselves. I
yeah,
encourage people to, do them. I do it. I encourage it.
yeah,
However, you got to know what the box is. You got to know what the box looks like. You got to be able to feel the box. You got to be able to understand the parameters within the box because that allows you to be able to operate in a conventional manner, but also think outside the box because then it allows you to expand beyond the horizon, or beyond your horizons, really, but more so beyond the four corners of the box, or the four walls of the box. Why do we love Apple so much? Okay, the slogan is "Think differently."
Mhm.
Okay, I mean, Apple, think differently.
Yep.
And what has Apple done? If I mean, Apple by itself, if you were to look at it from a symbolism perspective, I mean, what did it do? It changed the music industry. It changed phones. It changed the computer industry. What it does is it changes, and it's an industry disruptor,
Yeah.
and in order to really make a change in your own life, you need to be a disruptor to yourself.
Yeah.
Not to say that you don't do things conventionally, because remember, Apple's a business.
Yeah.
And so from a business standpoint, they have to be conventional in certain things in order for them to have the platform to do what it is they want to do and think outside or think differently. And as people, we have to have a foundation, a fundamental understanding of who we are, a fundamental understanding of how we can operate in our society. And then from there, expand our horizons.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And what I would add there is to do something that I remember there's a quote that stuck with me. It was like, do something that scares the life into you. And it stuck with me, man. Because that's what you guys have to do, right? You got to go out there and do something that scares you to be
Absolutely.
better. Yeah.
Absolutely. I like that you said that, do something that scares you, but doesn't put fear in you,
Yeah.
right? Because there's even though, yes, the scary feeling is fear, I get that, from a psychological perspective, I get it.
Yeah.
But, fear is usually, and I'm sure people have heard this plenty of times,
Yeah.
it's false. It's false expectations appearing real.
Yeah.
That's fear. False expectations appearing real, because oftentimes, what's between our ears, basically our brain, tells us all of these different things are going to happen. What if you're not good enough? And most people struggle with that statement right there. What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? Well, guess what? No one who ever succeeded in life, uh, just succeeded just for the sake of succeeding. No, they failed constantly,
Yeah.
constantly. One of the things, this example has been overused, but I'll use it anyway.
Yeah.
Babies don't stop trying to walk because they fall. Okay. And therefore we should not either. We're going to have our moments of failure. We're going to have those moments where, no one is going to be there to pat us on the back, say, oh, good job, this, that, and the other. You just gotta move forward and just do it and just say, all right, I messed up here. What can I learn from it, and move on. Um, the one thing I think this is very, very crucial. Okay. Take this with a grain of salt if you want it, whatever. But what it boils down to is know what you're going to die for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because if you know what you're going to die for, then you know what to live for.
Right.
Right? And so the thing is, people, people in life never really figure out what they're going to die for. Some people say, oh, it's family. I'll die for my family, this, that, and the other. Um, but beyond that, what is that one thing that is going to transform you in such a way that causes you to live a life that is amazing? Not just by your own standard, but others will be like, man, whatever that person has, I need it,
Yeah. 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 You got to just go. As Nike says, just do it. Just,
Just do it.
just
Really.
do it. And
That's what it boils down to,
yeah, and
you know?
it doesn't matter. dream doesn't matter. I always tell people too, it doesn't matter what other people might think too, because
Hmm.
you tell people a lot of times. I used to tell people my dream, and then they'll shun my dream because they're insecure about their own dream.
Right.
And people who don't have that type of mindset will
Hmm.
fall into that trap to not want to supersede their own expectations because they're listening to the Rottweilers in the back saying, "Oh, you can't do it, you can't do that. Dream's too big." You know what I mean? So
Hmm. So now, whether or not this is going to happen, I believe it will. But
yeah,
I said, you know what, Mom, to my mom, I said, Mom, both my parents were in the car, we were driving, and I said, you see that building over there? I'm gonna own something like that one day.
yeah,
And it was, I think, I looked into it, and I think it was something like 50 units, or something like that. And my mom was chuckling. She wasn't really like laughing. She was like, "Oh my gosh," like whoa.
yeah,
And I looked at her and I said, "Do you believe that I can do it?"
yeah,
And she was like, "Well, that's a lot." And I said, "That's not what I asked." I said, "Do you believe that I can do it?"
yeah,
And she knows me, so she said, "You know what? Whatever you put your mind to, I know you can do it."
yeah,
Right now, a good mom is going to say that, right? Whether she believes it or not, a good mom is going to be like, "Oh, okay, baby, you can make it now."
yeah,
Now if it's something like going to the NBA or something like that, look, I'm not tall enough. I don't have the skills, so she might not. She'd be like, "Yeah, I don't know about that."
yeah,
But when it comes to the playing field of business and acquiring things and understanding why you're doing those things,
yeah,
belief really matters.
yeah,
Belief.
yeah,
And a lot of people don't believe in themselves. A lot of people will not bet on themselves.
true,
Okay. And we have to change that mindset, not to be arrogant,
yeah,
not to be self-centered,
mhm,
but there has to be an understanding as to why you want to do a thing.
yeah,
Understanding who you are, understanding why you're doing what you're doing, the purpose for whatever it is you're doing,
yeah,
and then understanding that you have that belief in yourself to be able to accomplish it,
mhm,
really puts you in a position to thrive. Like your vision, the one that you were talking about, that dream, that vision
yeah,
that you were talking about, it's not for anybody else but you.
exactly,
It's not for anybody else to believe it
yeah,
but you.
right,
Now if we want to get into the topic of leadership, that's a whole different conversation we can have at another time.
right,
But I'll touch this one little thing on there.
yeah,
A good leader is somebody who can influence others so that they can actually understand the vision,
mhm,
right? So that they can see it clearly, even if they're not fully 100% in there, but they can communicate it in such a way that people will either take it on for themselves or at least say, okay, I understand where it is you want to go. It might be a little bit too much right now, but that doesn't mean that you can't develop into that thing. See, the
exactly,
person, the person that, so all the listeners right now, okay, uh, I know you all know what it is that you want to become. And I don't mean that from a career standpoint. I'm talking about just a humanoid, a humanistic perspective.
yeah,
Okay. And I know that it's important to work towards those things.
yeah,
But if you don't have a belief in yourself to be able to accomplish those things, even when you have moments of doubt,
mhm,
then you will let fear overcome you. Again, that's that false expectation appearing real.
yeah,
And you will let failure overcome you in such a way that you will no longer be motivated. You'll no longer be inspired. And that is a detriment to the self. You got to believe in what you're actually doing.
that's gospel right there, man. It's gospel right there. So there you guys have it, Mr. Leslie. And Leslie, what would you leave with somebody? before you go? Like your last word to somebody, your last motivational, inspirational word for somebody. What would you say?
Ah, man. Um, the one thing, because there's a lot, but the one thing I would say, if you really want to make a change,
Yeah.
okay, if you really want to make a change, don't just talk about it, be about it.
Right.
Your actions. Sometimes you just gotta move, and people don't even know what's going on. You just move, you're just going.
That's right.
Um, and I gotta leave you guys with this one last thing though, for real.
Yeah.
You gotta read.
Mm.
If you're, let me tell you, I believe it's either Woodrow Wilson or one of the presidents. I can't remember. I think it's him. But he said, not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers.
Mm.
And if you want to have a shift in your mind,
Yeah.
okay, whatever you put in your body is what's going to come out. So, if what do they have? What fast food do they have up there? In Canada up there, what do they have?
McDonald's, Wendy's.
No, for sure. I know they got Wendy's. I know that, but like
Oh,
donut shop. What
something
they
like
got for
Harvey.
donut shop?
Yeah.
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 What you got?
Harvey's.
Okay, Harvey's. All right. So if you're eating Harvey's every day,
Yeah.
all day,
Yeah.
you can expect to get a little chunky,
Yes. Exactly.
right? It's gonna happen unless you got those super genetics. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah.
super metabolism.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, you know, I'm not saying that Harvey's is bad food because I've never tried it. I don't even know what Harvey's is. Okay,
Yeah.
but um, you keep eating that, you feed yourself that every day. You have some issues.
Exactly.
But if you're feeding yourself some good things,
Yeah.
and it will naturally come out of you. And what I mean by that is you read good books. You have, you're listening to podcasts like this one.
Yeah.
You know, you're doing things that will keep you moving forward. And you're constantly learning.
Yes.
Man, the world is going to be your oyster.
Yep. That's right. That's right. There you go, man. Brother Leslie with the motivation, the inspiration. And where can they find you on where can they find you on social media?
The only place you can find me, because I'm not on social media like that,
All right.
it's purpose by design. I really don't care about social media, to be honest with
Yeah.
you. Only for business purposes.
Yeah.
You can find me on LinkedIn,
All right.
and I hope you guys do find me on LinkedIn. Go ahead and send me a shout. I'd be more than happy to connect with you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to send me a message. But LinkedIn, you can find me right on there. I believe I'm under just as Leslie Valbrun, and then my credentials are behind my
All right. There you go. Check him out on LinkedIn. Leslie, thanks for joining me, man.
name. It's my pleasure.
It's always great talking to you, man. From
Always a pleasure.
the moment we met, it's been a click, man. It's been amazing.
Absolutely.
So it's a pleasure to
Absolutely.
have you on the website on the podcast today, man. For sure.
My pleasure.
All right, man. Thanks again.
All right. No problem. Bye-bye.